Welcome to Chump or Champ. What's the Chump or Champ? Well, that's simple.
Would you go to any movie solely based on something in this place, regardless of the quality? Well, you, sir, are a chump.
On the other hand, if you bring your mom to a movie based on something in here because of the quality, well, not only are you a good offspring, but you're a champ.
Here, we will watch and review movies based on today's pulp culture to help you determine whether it's a chump or a champ. Come on, Mom's buying the popcorn. Welcome to Chump or Champ. I'm JB, and I shot the sheriff.
And I'm Mattson, TK421. And this is...
If you're expecting a review of Men in Black 3, well, we had a train wreck of a show last week. It's going to die in the ones and zeros that it was captured in. But the answer came out to be is 2 champs, 1 chump. You can figure out which ones are the 2 chumps.
This week we'll be reviewing Snow White and this Huntsman.
Do you hear that?
It basically is the story of Snow White told in a totally different way, a much darker, more sinister way than you're going to remember from your Disney upbringing. Overall, the story of this one was as much darker than I kind of expected, knowing that it was going to be dark. I'm going to break the story down into a few different segments. The Queen, I actually like that storyline a little bit. I like the Queen, even though going into later on the character, her acting wasn't that great. But the Queen storyline I thought was pretty good. The Snow White storyline, not so good. I didn't really like that story. Overall, the Huntsman, I don't know, maybe I'm talking more about characters than story, but the story itself is, basically Snow White, daughter of the king. Her stepmom becomes the evil queen. We all know kind of the story of Snow White, but it was dark, it was grim, it was kind of what, probably the Grimm fairy tale is closer to. It just didn't catch me.
I agree completely with what you just said. I could care less about the characters. The characters I did like was the Queen and the brother. They seemed like they were they were a lot more interesting than anything else.
The brother I thought was actually probably the best character in the whole movie.
Right. Snow White's locked away in this prison until, for who knows why she was locked away. They don't even give that reason. She just locked away. And then all of a sudden, of course, everyone knows, so it's not a big secret, the Queen needs to kill Snow White to be the fairest one of all. And that's because the mirror says she's come of age. Well, what of age? Because she turned 18. I mean, it would have been nice if it was like a foreshadow that she was kept there for a reason. The Queen knew she needed to be there. The mirror had told her she had to be there. Instead, it was like, why didn't she just off her right then and there, when she took power? To me, that was a weak part of the story. They introduced the Huntsman, and they introduced him in a bar fight. And again, the story, I expected him to be this badass, even though he was drunk, and he got beat up left and right in this thing. And then he becomes this badass. It's like, well, to me, it was like a contradiction of the characters. Either he has to be a reluctant hero, or he has to be a balls-in hero. And to me, he didn't feel like either one of them.
Yeah, the story of the Huntsman I didn't like. For the most part, I think you could have left the Huntsman out of this whole movie.
It feels like they're trying to set all these characters up for a bigger overall story, but there's no. There wasn't a setup. To me, they didn't establish the characters. Like you said, the Huntsman could have been completely gone. She could have ran through this thing, and she could have met up with the dwarves right away, and the dwarves could have brought her to that town, and the same thing could have happened, and then they would have got her out.
The dwarves, when they bring the dwarves in, they were kind of interesting characters. But just the overall story, it just felt like they're trying to make Snow White the hero. Obviously, she's in the title. It just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, okay, she heals they talk about, well, don't you feel better just being around her? She's healing your ailments and stuff, but yet she can't heal anybody. She never does throughout the movie, like any serious injuries or anything like the Queen can. but you never really like her. You never really
Right.
the queen you have sympathy for, kind of. They show a little bit of flashbacks on how she became this way, and you're like, oh, she's kind of a character. Yes, she's evil, but you kind of, I don't know. I guess I kind of liked her because you felt something for her. You felt a little pity for her. Snow White, you never like. I mean, her speech
At the end?
at the end, or towards the end, where she's rallying the troops.
Oh
and stuff.
my God, that was.
It was horrible.
It was. I'm like, that's not a battle cry. That's not a rally speech.
Yeah, I mean, so overall, the rating I thought of the story. I mean, it's a story everyone knows, so you obviously have to spruce it up a little bit. But I didn't think they did a very good job at all.
No, they failed so. I mean, even the dwarves they brought in, it was like they brought them in for a little bit of comic relief. But even that, it should have been all in or all out. The old one, he was the only one I really liked out of the whole thing, besides the queen and brother. There's a part in the story where she meets that big deer, with the antlers.
Yeah.
And I felt that I mean, it wasn't like a major storyline, but it felt like that animal needed to have a closure for its story. And I was expecting to see that thing at the end. Instead, the way it ends, it almost feels like they're trying to set you up for a sequel, because it felt like the story didn't end. Is that how you felt too?
Actually, I totally agree, and I was actually just going to say, the thing, I don't know what they were trying to do with this story. With the darker, it's really not a movie for kids.
No.
At least not little kids.
My kids are fine.
Maybe teens, obviously, but not little kids. I mean, I'm not going to bring Kryn to this one.
I would.
You probably would. But okay, so then I'm like, well, they're probably making a date movie. I didn't really get that out of it because they don't really build a love story.
Yeah.
In fact, it's kind of convoluted because you have the huntsman, and then you have the kind of the Prince Charming role of William. Character I liked the absolute least. And you don't really know, okay, who she's supposed to be in love with, but they don't ever really play it up. They don't ever really use one against the other like I thought they were going to towards the end. I thought, okay, they're going to use...
Do the triangle thing.
Yeah, exactly. They don't do that. I'm like, okay, well, William was her love when she was a kid. He's going to be the Prince Charming at the end. Not really.
No. Well, see, that's what it feels like, because, at the very end, you see all three of them. And there's no exchange between any of the characters of passion. And that's why it feels like they're setting you up for that sequel to do the love story triangle, to make this into a bigger fantasy. Now, we've told you the Snow White story. Now we're going to tell you a completely new story trying to use these characters. And I, for one, could care less. I mean, it didn't capture me enough to even care what these characters would do after that, after the fade to black. So, overall, I give Snow White and the Huntsman a chump.
I also give it a chump. It just, the visuals didn't help it enough to get by the horrible story. Dude, Grim, good TV show, Snow White, chump.
Our Netflix pick of the week is The Clinic, an Australian movie starring Andy Whitfield, the guy from Spartacus, before he died, because it's not his ghost. It's something.
Hey, this place looks all right. I'm gonna ask for the presidential suite.
Welcome to the Overlander. Just passing through, are you?
You went to the Sky Dragon, came back, your fiance's gone.
I've heard about places like this.
Why are we still alive?
Beth is missing. She's pregnant, and I want her found. I want you to search the motel.
Nothing's been stolen, there's no sign of a struggle. I can't even report her missing till she's been gone at least 24 hours.
Join us next week for the movie Prometheus, where it gives Charlize Theron another chance to get naked.
Ooh.
I was wrong. It was so wrong. I'm so sorry.
God damn it.
I'm rolling, camera's rolling.
Just a sec.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
Everyone's dead. Chump or Champ reviews Snow White and the Huntsman. Intro. Whew! At least it's on camera.
Yes.
All right. Well,
I'm sorry.
Like the Blair Witch murder footage.
wow.
Oh, man.
It's the aromas.
Yes. No more
Let's
Kobe's
see.
for you.
At least volcano stuff.